Hello everyone, welcome back. Another episode of the Grapevine. Today we are talking about a very popular topic that has become very common, especially among the youth, the high schoolers, even the middle schoolers and the college students. Today we are going to talk about vaping, juuling, e-cigarettes. It has more than one name, so you can keep going on and on. I'll let everybody introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Susie.
Hi, I'm Irene.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
And we have Abuna Joshua Gerges from St. George Church in Tampa. Abuna, before we start, I would like for you to give us an introduction about addiction in general. And then we're going to dive into talking about this specific topic of vaping and juuling.
Sure. First, I'm so happy to be on CYC. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming, Abuna.
Sure. There are two types of addiction. There is substance addiction, or they call it chemical addiction, and there is behavioral addiction. Substance addiction, they involve any chemicals or any substance involved, like alcohol, like tobacco, opioids, heroin, cocaine, prescription drugs, marijuana. All of this can fall under the substance addiction. The behavioral addiction, including behavior, misuse or abuse, like gambling, video games, food, porn. This can be under the behavioral addiction.
Okay. There are some facts that I have written down here that I would like to share with the audience and everybody present regarding the juuling and vaping. I know to some people it's a brand new thing they never heard of before, and to some people they have heard about it. It's becoming very common right now. The e-cigarettes, that's how it all started in 2007. It has been investigated by the addiction researchers as a possible way for adults who are smoking regular cigarettes to actually quit. And the FDA listed 93 harmful or potentially harmful chemicals found in regular cigarettes. The National Cancer Institute described cigarettes as having more than 7,000 chemicals in them. E-cigarettes contain fewer chemicals, and so the industry has presented them as a healthier alternative or another choice to regular cigarettes. In fact, the vape liquids can still contain nicotine, and it's very highly addictive. Vape devices have not been proven to help adult smokers quit smoking. Moreover, vaping increases the risk of a teenager that will actually go on to smoke regular cigarettes later on. So, Abuna, tell us a little bit about, introduce this topic to us for someone who's never heard about vaping or juuling. And juuling is actually spelled J-W-L-I-N-G.
Before you do, Abuna, we actually have another question from the addiction perspective.
Okay.
So I wanted to ask, is addiction is it a disease or is it a choice?
So addiction is a disease, but it starts with a choice. So people choose to start, but then they become addicts, they become sick. That becomes like meaning one hit, get high, get hooked, as they say.
That's
one
a
hit.
very good way to put it.
Yeah. So people start with choice and they choose to start, but then it comes out of hand if they
sick.
Yeah.
It's a good way to put it.
So it starts off as a choice and then it becomes a disease, or?
Yeah, of course,
Okay.
because at a certain point you cannot just stop it if you want to.
Right.
It's not up to your will anymore. You have to get treated.
So
You
the
have
will is
to-
obviously in the first decision then
Yeah.
of taking it. I understand that. That makes sense. So now that we kind of covered like a little bit of addiction, a very brief thing about addiction, with vaping, I know a lot of the young children or the youth that are using them, they're thinking it's not harmful for them because it's not like cigarettes. It doesn't have 7,000 chemicals. Can you tell us a little bit about vaping, the differences between vaping and e-cigarettes and Juuls, which I had never heard of before myself? So
Sure.
maybe educating the viewers and would be great for even the parents to know and the kids.
Yeah. Vaping is a generic name on how people inhale vapors. E-cigarettes is the device, electronic cigarettes. So basically it's electronic cigarettes, it's heated and it produces vapor, smoke. when people inhale that smoke, they vape. That's called vaping. Juuling, as Rehan mentioned, it's a brand name of e-cigarettes, of electronic cigarettes, but the most common, most famous one now in college, between high schoolers and middle schoolers. That is Juuling, yeah.
So they're basically three names for the same thing?
People can use people
Yeah.
can use names interchangeably between all three of them, but they mean the same thing.
Okay.
If they say I'm juuling, means he's vaping, meaning he's using electronic e-cigarettes. Yeah, and vice versa.
Now, I think when it first came out, there were, and I don't know if this actually became true or not, but they were saying that the good thing about it as an alternative to regular cigarettes, that it's not only that, but you can use it anywhere indoors, anywhere that you see the sign of no smoking, like airports, airplanes, things like that. That actually does not apply because e-cigarettes you can use anywhere. But I have not seen people actually use them, so I don't know, did it really become legal for you to
Yes.
use? It is?
I have seen it.
Okay.
Yes. Indoors.
It's not like smoke. It's not like regular smoke, just vape.
Right.
But I mean, just logically, if you can inhale it, vaping meaning you're still inhaling it,
Right.
so the person next to you can still inhale it.
And also it has like different flavors. So
And smells.
Yeah, give like really good
Smell.
Yeah. So that means that the person next to you can also inhale it. So that becomes just like regular smoking. Then how come it's not forbidden?
Because they haven't set a law for it yet, and I guess a lot of times when the laws are made, it's more of a money thing. So
Right.
when the law will be made, and I'm sure it will be, if there's enough lobbyists or something,
Right.
then they might create a law, and then it'll go little by little, state by state, until it becomes like a national thing.
Yeah.
My question is, do we know what type of liquid is in it? Because, I don't really know much about it. Do you know what kind of liquid they're using in the e-cigarette?
Speaking
what's
of
in it?
the point before we move on to the next point, I think because the whole concept, the whole topic of vaping and juuling is fairly new. Like you mentioned, nothing haven't been
done
decided
yet.
about it
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
And that's why people just using it and no regulation, no illegality about it when people do that. And also the smoke, it disappears so quick compared to the smoke of cigarettes. It just, in a few seconds, once it comes up, it just evaporates. You don't see it. That's why how high schooler and middle schooler can hide it in the schools. Because in a second,
In the bathroom.
in a few seconds, they can just inhale or use the smoke. And by the time the teachers are there or anyone reports something happening, it's gone.
Yes.
You don't see it.
Maybe they'll think it's like the smell of perfume or something. I don't know. They're
And that's
not
the
thinking-
confusion part. People
Yeah.
actually think it's just a perfume because of the flavor they have, like Sarah mentioned. Yeah.
And I find this is very deceiving, because if a parent and has a child at home and they smoke around their babies or children, and that makes their children secondhand smokers.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
true, because the idea that it's not harmful, you can smoke it anywhere, you can smoke it around your children, your family, and that, I find this is very deceiving.
I think it's deceiving from the children point of view. Like from the kids can deceive their parents, because if you look at have any pictures of the Juul, it's like a flash drive. It's like a USB. So kids can have it in their desk at home, and no one can notice that they have this smoke. This is a device for smoking. Parents won't even find out about this.
Wow.
That's the deceiving part here.
Yeah, I see. Is that the picture, Abuna,
That's one of
on
the-
your
yeah.
iPad?
Yeah, it's like a flash drive. It's like
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to
So
post
maybe
that so
maybe
everyone
Abuna,
can
if you
see
can
it.
turn this to the camera for a minute, just to make sure that the audience kind of get an idea. You're right. I mean, it doesn't look anything
like a cigarette or
like a
a smoking
cigarette
device.
at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
So do we know what liquid is put into the e-cigarette and what is contained in this? Like what ingredients are in it? What's hazardous?
Mainly, it's nicotine.
So it is nicotine.
It is nicotine.
So it is
However,
addictive.
I would say one of the statistics I have here, it says about 90% of the users of the vapors, people who use vaping, they don't know it's had nicotine in it. They think it's just a flavor, but
Right.
it does have nicotine in it.
Okay. So is that any different than a hookah pipe then? Or is it very similar?
I would think it's a very similar thing. It's actually, I think hookah and vaping, they're both the nicotine is just being burned, and you smell the smoke. Yeah.
Right, which is
Yeah.
flavored as well.
Yeah, it's flavored. Yeah.
Abuna, can you tell us how much nicotine in that little device?
Actually, there's a shocking fact here that the amount of nicotine in 1 joule equals the nicotine that's in a full packet of cigarettes.
Full packet.
Full packet, 20 cigarettes. Meaning, if one of those kids, one of those guys smoking 1 joule a day, he smoked 20 cigarettes a day.
Whoa.
And it's very easy access to it, so most likely they will be doing even
Yes.
more
More.
than one filling for each.
Yeah, and nicotine,
device.
nicotine is a very addictive substance. It's a very addictive substance. Nicotine, I can see people, I serve in the addiction retreat, and I can see people can be sober from heroin, cocaine, heavy drugs, but they cannot quit
It's
smoking.
very difficult to quit smoking.
It's very hard to quit. Nicotine is very highly
It's
addictive
true.
substance, like Rehan mentioned in the introduction. And they say about 60 milligram can kill one adult of nicotine. And 6 milligram can kill a child
Wow.
being exposed to nicotine.
So, Abuna, how do I know if I became an addict or someone I know became an addict?
There are 4 simple signs that you can find out if someone became an addict or not. First, the increase, they call it the continuous behavior continuing to increase the number of use. It's not occasional, meaning someone used to drink alcohol in occasion, maybe during the feast, once or twice a year. But then it's not happening occasionally now. It's happening every month, every week, and happening every day. Now there is increase in the number of times you take or use the drugs,
The
or
frequency,
inhaling, or smoking, or watching something, or playing games. The number of times there's consistency here, not as before, not occasional. That's one sign. The second sign, increase in the dose. The dose meaning, instead of someone who just taking 1 drink of alcohol, or watching 1 hour, playing games 1 hour, or just smoking one time or 1 joule. Now he's doing more than that. Instead of taking 1 pill, he's taking 3-4 pills a day, or playing games for 10 hours a day, or having more than 1 drink a day. So the increase of the dose itself, that's another sign of addiction. So increase the numbers of time using and increase the amount. Third sign is a dependency, meaning there is psychological dependency on it. If someone is the whole day is thinking when I'm gonna use, when I'm gonna do this,
Yeah,
when
the
I'm gonna smoke,
preoccupation.
preoccupation being everything is around this thing. When this is gonna happen, that's the third sign, dependency. The fourth sign is the withdrawal symptoms, meaning if someone wanted to quit, he will show some symptoms of withdrawal, meaning you will have craving, depression, nausea, seizure. Those are mean the person the body became used to this substance, dependent on this substance. Those are the 4 signs: the number of times, the amount, the dose, and the dependency and the withdrawal symptoms. Those, any one of those is a sign of addiction.
Sometimes, Abuna, the dependency is just psychological, like your body is not going to go through nausea, vomiting, or seizure, but you feel the craving. You feel like this is something I really need. Like you go out of your way to find ways to get it, or exhaust a lot of time and effort thinking about it.
Even the habit itself, like just because out of habit, people just seek after this without showing any symptoms. But out of habit, I used to do it. I'm gonna just keep doing it. That's true. Yeah.
So, Abuna, can you tell us the company that makes vaping devices? How do they like when they advertise? Are they saying the truth about what's in it? What is it that they say?
The funny thing is that I went to on the Jude website, the company website, and you see a big sign saying, warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is addictive chemical. That's what they have on their website. And not only that,
And people think that it has no nicotine, that's why it's safe?
Yeah, and even the
So
company
they're being
saying
honest.
that. Yeah, they're being honest.
Right, like on the cigarettes
Like
where it
cigarettes,
says,
cigarettes is not safe
yeah,
for
it
you.
may cause cancer and
Yes.
lung disease or whatever. And then if you go to England and you see the side of the cigarette says cigarettes can kill you, they're
Yeah.
very
Yes.
honest about it.
Very honest.
So there's being honest on the website as well.
And not only that, if you scroll down through on the website, a nice statement they say, if you do not currently use nicotine containing products, we recommend that you do not start. They say,
Wow.
actually,
So this is
there's a
good.
whole page about this. Yeah,
That
there's
must
a
be
whole-
by law. They have to say these things because there's no way a company is going to market themselves that way. So it must be, this is one of the
yeah,
laws, I
you're right.
guess.
Yeah, and there's other
Right.
actually consequences and what.
Abuna,
June-
this is mind blowing.
It,
Really,
yeah.
it
It's
is
like someone
mind-blowing.
telling you, I'm gonna give you a sandwich. This sandwich has
Wow.
poison in it. It's gonna make you dumb. It's gonna kill you. And you say, okay, let me
I'm
try
gonna eat it anyway.
Let me try it.
It's funny. It's funny how much, and I'm sure Abuna, you experience this every day as a priest. How much effort and time you invest to convince someone to do the right thing,
That's a lot, yeah.
and sometimes they don't. Most of the time they don't. Where this is the wrong thing, and the person who made it is telling you it's
It's the wrong
wrong.
thing.
It's not good for you, and people still do it.
Right.
I'm sure, Ham, you know about this. We call it
This
denial.
is mind blowing.
People in denial. They say, I easily
my
can
God,
stop
this
it. Nothing can happen.
deception.
I can stop it.
Yeah.
Denial, you know.
It's deception. It's the
Yeah.
work of Satan. That's I have no other way to explain it.
Every topic that we talk about that's so hard is always, it's Satan. We're just constantly battling him in so many ways, in so many aspects.
And some people have to hit like rock bottom to just to be able to say, yes, I'm in need. I need help. I'm weak. Please help me. They have to lose a lot in order to get to this point,
Yeah.
which is
You have to
sad
hit
because
rock
you can stop from the beginning. You can avoid all of this, especially in addiction. People lose their family, their jobs, their money, their health. They lose everything.
So Abuna, I wanted to ask about the consequences of using this like nicotine devices because people may like consuming or vaping, but they don't understand what is the consequences.
Vaping has so many negative impact on human bodies and health. Negative impact, meaning I'm going to talk just about one thing, which is the brain, the impact on the human brain. The human brain does not get fully developed until the age of 25, which is very sad because most of the people who vape, they start in a very young age where their brain is not fully developed yet. And it does affect a part in the brain called the prefrontal cortex. This part in the brain is responsible for decision making, identifying right from wrong, critical thinking skills, how to differentiate between things, how to make the right decision. And vaping or smoking or drugs, they destroy this part of the brain. So basically the person, as I mentioned, becomes a dumb person. He cannot really think. He cannot think.
Yeah.
Of course, that has an impact in school and studying and all their career and all their life.
So there's a lot of risks.
Yeah, a lot of risks, and not only that, but also that's a very important point here. People who continue using e-cigarettes, it make other drugs as cocaine, methamphetamine, more pleasurable, and for teens to use and to try out.
It's
scary.
kind of like priming the brain.
Yes.
Right. Wow, that's scary.
Yeah.
That's very
It
scary.
is very scary. Yes.
Wow.
It makes people want to try different things.
Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Meth and
Because it's a habit now. It's like getting into the habit of putting something in your mouth, smoking something, then you become more vulnerable to being introduced to other things. That makes sense.
And that's only, we're talking about the brain, but
Right.
there's so many other impacts. There is of course, as any other type of smoking can cause lung cancer. There's something called popcorn lung, that when actually you have a bronchitis condition and like damages the lung, small, I would say, airways in the lung. You have holes in your lung
Right.
because
I've
of
never heard
vaping.
that. Yeah.
And they call it popcorn because it looks like popcorn.
Wow.
Your lung becomes
I've
like
never heard
popcorn. I
that.
even have pictures of this. Yeah.
So how can okay, so you were saying about the Juuls before that they look like a flash drive. How can the parents be more involved and help their kids with this? Like, how can they? What's the best way to address the kids? I mean, if they're not sure that their kids are using, is it something that they should be talking to them about, or if they are sure, then
I
how
would
can
s-
parents
I
talk to their
think
kids
the
about
question
it?
I have, it's the opposite. What if the parents are the ones who are using this?
I'll have two
Right.
different questions now.
Yes, the opposite question.
Of course, for a parent to talk to his kids about vaping or Juuling, he should not be doing it.
It's the same thing when it
Yeah,
comes
just
to
start with that.
cigarette
Yeah, with
smoke.
anything wrong
Right.
that if a parent doing that, he should not. He should stop first before you talk to your kids about this. But if your kids are using or not using or actually vaping or not, I would say first thing to talk to them about the consequences, the negative impact, and tell them how this is gonna really have a huge negative impact on their health and their school and studying and their progress in school. The parents should tell them about this. There's something we did not mention. There's a vaping explosion. And I have pictures of those, so many cases and incidents, people were vaping and exploded in their mouth. And the pictures are really graphic pictures.
Wow.
I have multiple cases. I have one that vape exploded in his mouth while vaping.
Oh my
And there's so many cases,
goodness.
by the way, just though. And another person, he was 14 years old in a mall in New York, and he got blinded because of during vaping. Because actually having a bomb in your hand, it's a liquid being heated, and it randomly anything can happen. It can explode.
It's much worse than a cigarette then, because a cigarette
yeah.
you might get a burn or
Yeah.
some clothing with
lot
holes,
worse than
but this
cigarettes.
is much
Yeah.
this is a
Yeah, and
very
we have
dangerous.
instead of people actually because of the explosion, people died. Yeah, it killed some people. Yeah.
So Abuna, also we touch base with the parents and how they can help and find out about if their kids doing it or not and move on and help them. But how the church can help our kids to first prevention? I believe in prevention.
Of course, prevention. That's what we do in these presentations. We try to educate parents and servants, and kids too. So I recommend that what we've been doing in the church to give presentations to the kids at a young age, even elementary school, even middle school, because it's very common now. Middle, high school, college, everyone should be educated about this stuff. Doing presentations, sermons, showing them pictures, talking about everything around this topic. Now, beside the church, there's schools. Some of the schools doing when they find people vaping in school, they have some certain, I would say, guidelines. The consequences. They have to follow certain things. First, they call the parents, and then they do a mandatory 2 weeks assignment, they attend a program, educational program to that kid.
That's really good.
And they actually inform law enforcement, the law enforcement too. They let the police know just in case if there's any drugs included or involved in the vaping device.
Oh, so they can add to it.
Yeah, oh yeah, you can
So
add
these devices can actually be used for other...
for other drugs. Yes, marijuana can be added to it and other stuff too.
That's even more dangerous.
Yeah,
more
and some
addicting.
schools, if the incidents continue to happen with the same student, they give them a suspension and they kick them out of the school.
Wow.
Some of the schools start doing this now, but not all of them yet.
Abuna, tell us a little bit about shisha or hookah. How is it related to this topic? And maybe from a spiritual point of view, I see that it also became very common, more so among women.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that as well.
Sadly, it's very common in many of the houses, and parents smoke in front of their kids using hookah. It's very sad, but the point is, same health risks from e-cigarettes, vaping, same thing in hookah. Same type of cancer that can be caused: lung cancer, stomach cancer, esophagus cancer. All of this can happen because of vaping, e-cigarettes, and hookah as well. Exact same thing. Same consequences, same negative impact on health.
And I'm gonna one more question, because I know there's so much to ask, but we don't want to take up so much of your time. If someone knows that their child or they know someone who's addicted, is there a way that they can treat themselves at home, or is it something where they need to seek help, counseling, or go to a treatment center? What is the best way for them to overcome this addiction?
I think it depends on how long they've been smoking, have been using. It makes a big difference, the number of days and or years or how long they've been doing this. But now there are so many medical help for people who want to stop, quit smoking. There's the nicotine gums, there's nicotine patches, and there's now a new spray for nicotine. There are so many things now people can actually find to help. But all of this, it has to be done for a certain time and then stop. It's not continue doing. You cannot just be, instead of smoking or vaping, having nicotine gum all the time. No, this stuff has to be prescribed and under supervision for a certain time, for a certain period, and you stop after a certain time when the withdrawal symptoms is decreased and you don't feel it anymore. Some other doctors can prescribe medicine that can make you not to feel the withdrawal symptoms. So the craving part. So you can get actually some medication to prevent you feeling the craving symptoms of withdrawal.
Well, that sounds really good, and we hope that anyone who's watching that is addicted or has seen someone addicted, that they would allow them to help them find ways to get help on this, or if there's any parents that are not aware of it, maybe they're a little bit more educated now, and will be looking out for that with their kids or their kids' friends.
Thank you so much, Abuna, for being here with us today.
Thank you guys for making this episode about this topic.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone. Stay tuned for another episode.
Bye.
Bye.